To order of the Breezy Point City Council for Monday, March 1st, 2021. First order of business is to all rise for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So, third item of business on the agenda tonight is I'd like to introduce or recognize Tyler Glenn, Executive Director for Bryant Lakes Area Economic Development Commission, or BLADEC as known. And Tyler has been gracious enough to come here tonight and give a presentation as part of the goals that the council set earlier. One of the things that we were looking at is to see if there's a potential for developing an economic incentive package to help recruit or help businesses currently in the area recruit new ones. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Tyler. Tyler, welcome.
You want me up here?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Hello, City Council. Tyler Glenn, Executive Director of the Brainerd Lakes Area Economic Development Corporation, BLADEC, which hopefully we'll get some of that changed. We're going through a rebranding, so maybe that'll condense it so I don't have to say that every single time. But thank you for having me this evening. After speaking with Patrick a little bit in some of the goals and objectives I think that the city is looking at for developing out this community as far as housing, maybe some economic opportunities. I'm certainly welcome to any thoughts and ideas that the commission, that the council and the mayor you would have for action steps that you'd like BLADEC to take on behalf of the Breezy Point. So we'll get into that certainly here in a little bit. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for continuing to fund our organization. You know, without the assistance of our cities and our membership base, obviously we're a nonprofit, so we wouldn't exist. So it's very important that we continue to receive assistance from the communities that we support. We are a Crow Wing County-based organization, so we do most of our work, or all of our work, excuse me, throughout Crow Wing County. Obviously, our larger cities tend to take up more of our time, but it isn't something that we look at and say we don't have the attention to pay to our smaller communities throughout the county. We certainly do. I'm a resident of Nisswa, so I'm just down the road. So, you know, I look forward to working with the city council and yourself, Mayor, as to how we can help advance this city in ways that you guys see fit. You know, and one size doesn't fit for everyone. There are needs and goals for each community that are different from the other communities in our county. So it is something that will work directly. I'll work directly with you and the council and with Patrick to make those determinations. And if there are certain items that you want to see us push forward on, we will certainly do that at your request. So just a little bit of a background for those of you that don't know our organization very well. I know that Gary has heard our presentation a number of times, and I believe it was a couple years ago you mentioned it was like, wow, I didn't realize you guys did quite as much as you do. But you know, we do have programs inside of our organization which help us drive some revenue. We have a key recruitment program which is headed up by Mike Bierkness, and Mike is responsible for bringing in and hiring key talent for our businesses here in Crow Wing County. And to date, he's hired, you know, I think the number was in the last 48 months, I believe he's hired 54 people, moved over 200 people into our communities throughout Crow Wing County. So he's worked with, you know, the Klaus Stampings, Lindar, there's a lot of B. Johnson, there's a lot of good companies that he's working for and hiring key talent for. It's a really important tool for us, and we recognized it, I think 5 years ago, that this was something we could serve our area businesses and help them get the talent that they need. The other program that we have is our Unified Fund. And our Unified Fund is, we drew money from our communities throughout Crow Wing County that were sitting on state investment dollars, so Minnesota investment or federal investment or federal investment funds, and those dollars were sitting dormant, and they were sitting dormant in our communities. And the way they were created is that we would receive or obtain grants from the state to a particular community that wanted to lend money to a company and to bring that money into that community. These dollars were sitting dormant, as they are throughout the state of Minnesota. There's about $35 million sitting in the state of Minnesota that's sitting dormant, and they don't know what to do with it. So what we did is we created a local development organization with the help of the state, and those funds came into our organization. And so what we do is we serve as a gap lender. So we can come in and we can provide funds to help a business get off the ground. We can provide that financial assistance to make sure that that project gets to the finish line. So it's really important. As of date, we've had 16 loans. We started the fund with about $3.5 million. Over the last 2.5 years, I've lent out $1.1 million. It has helped us create and or retain 191 jobs in Crow Wing County. So it's a big move for us to be able to do that. We're the only economic development corporation in the state that has these types of funds. So that's another thing that I know that we can certainly look at if you guys have businesses that are looking at this community and looking to grow or expand up here. We can certainly help out with that. So it's very important that we have those services that make us, I think, particularly unique in the economic development world. So those are just a couple of the things that we do. But you know, if we have, I know that Patrick is very familiar with how to how to set up a tax increment financing program or an abatement policy. So we help with that as well. So we will work with Patrick and the companies if that is a goal for a business, or if that is a goal for the city to set something like that up to attract a business. But the biggest needs that we have in this county right now are employees and housing. Those are the two biggest issues that we're facing right now. You know, we have a lot of questions that are being asked get these questions on a regular basis from multiple cities and from other businesses, is that, hey, we want more commercial tax base in our communities. The trouble with attracting a commercial business is just who's going to work there. We have jobs that are plentiful in this county. You know, they might not be fantastic, high earning jobs, but they're, $17 to $20 an hour jobs that are they're out there and they're not getting filled. File Stamping told us last week they have 70 job openings. Grandview has 125 job openings. I'm sure if we talked to Bob and David over here, they would probably hire, I don't know, 100 today. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a concern of ours. Obviously, it is a big concern of, if you want to chase those businesses, if you want to go out and get those, we have to be really cognizant of a couple of things. One is, where are they going to live? Where are they going to lay their head at night? And the second thing is we're dealing with also some daycare issues. So we have some big issues that the county is facing right now that we're looking into, and we're trying to make the best use of our resources to address those. And that's some of the things I think, Mayor, that you guys can look at here is that you have tax forfeited lots. You have opportunities to maybe entice the right developer to come in and build here. It's the average commute in Crow Wing County is 21 miles. And that's nothing. If you think about if someone's going to work in Brainerd, or if they're going to work in Baxter, or if they're going to work in Cross Lake, or wherever it might be, they have the ability to live here, raise their families here, and then commute to their jobs every day. So we're trying to address those, but our housing study would tell you in the next 10 years we're looking at a housing shortage of about 4,000 units. So we have to fix this. I don't know, every community is facing this, every county is facing this, but probably not to the depth that we are. We don't have a large housing stock. The houses that we have are getting snapped up pretty quickly. As you guys probably have recognized in this area, that houses don't stay on the market long, and if they do, they're being overpaid for. So we have to look at those things when we look at potentially a development. What is a target for us? What is a target for this area? What type of housing are we really looking for? And then attracting the right builder or the right developer into a community like this. So with that, that's a very fast, very high level look at what the things that we're doing and what we're trying to do throughout the county. But I'm very open to suggestions or developing a plan with the city and with the council and with Patrick to identify these needs and see what plans that we can put forth to help this city get to the goals that they've set. So with that being said, I'm open for any questions or open for discussion, however you'd like to go.
Yeah, and I guess I would just start off by saying thank you for the presentation. I think I think where some of this was driven from is that we, of course, as a lot of cities have, comprehensive plans. And so we recently just updated a comprehensive plan, and one of the pieces that came out of that comprehensive plan was the idea that the citizens saw the need to help create not jobs, but opportunities for businesses here to come here. And so that's kind of where some of this has been generated from, I think, is from that. And then some of the recent goal setting that the council did talking about it, that's one of the things that came out of it. So, you know, I recognize, as you stated, it sounds like there are a lot of jobs that are available within the county right now. And so I think it probably is something that we want to look at in a narrowly defined scope of what it is that would work for here, along with maybe potentially some of that with regards to housing as well. And we know that also that continues to be something that is being looked at constantly. I mean, I think it's just the 15th year in a row that we've had the most new builds.
At least, no, it could be the whole 20th century.
Yeah. So we're definitely holding our own when it comes to building houses here in Breezy and you know, people coming to the area. So we do recognize that and see that. But I think along with that, I think also we see the challenges that come with that too. So that's just my comments, but I'd open it up to the council for any questions they may have or anything they'd like to state. Councilman Miller?
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to come speak to us. And I like the incentives that you brought up that would draw and attract new businesses here. Obviously create, you know, lower commute times for anyone living in the city to also work in the city, and good paying jobs. And I see that, you know, there's a lot of opportunity currently out there, you know, from other businesses, including the Breezy Point Resort. In reference to the tax forfeited lots, mind you, some of those are on minimum maintenance roads, and the topography is too challenging for them to be built on. So I think that's some in-house work that the city council would probably have to discuss how we can make that more attractive. I know that previously I spoke with the previous mayor, Tom Lillehei, about PUD, or a plan unit development. We had just briefly touched on it, but I can see that as being something that could be quite attractive to a developer that could create that workforce housing where it might fall just below the size of the units for what our city ordinance currently requires. So, you know, once again, that just kind of sums up my position on the available lots, also privately owned lots. But I really do appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us.
Absolutely. Are there, and I want to give both of you opportunities to, if you have a question for me as well, but has there been identified what type of businesses the city is looking for? Is there a particular industry sector that, you know, is it retail based? Is it not retail based? Is it manufacturing? I just am curious, I guess, is my...
I don't know that if we've necessarily really identified specifically that. You know, some of what came out of the comprehensive plan was small business, so that can take a lot of shapes, forms. You know, I think when we look at Breezy Point, having the ability to have some amenities here for the people not only that live here, but also the people that come on vacation here. We get a large amount of people that are coming here in the summertime. So, you know, like opportunities for food, you know, like restaurant type situations could be something. I think small manufacturing is another one. You know, when I think about in this area, or potentially service type oriented businesses, could potentially be something that could be looked upon favorably by maybe the citizens and the people there as well. So I don't want to speak for the whole council. Those are kind of some broad things. I think that, you know, I think ultimately it's that small type business, maybe, you know, where you're not looking at a huge workforce, but a smaller workforce that may come with that, but also to offer those other things that citizens may find interest in wanting to have that are living here, but also potentially vacationing here too.
Yeah, the interesting thing is we've been going through, and for most of you, I'm sure you probably know this, Patrick obviously knows this, but we've been, Bladek has been responsible for administrating all of the grants that have gone out in Crow Wing County, both the CARES Act grants and the economic relief grants that we've are just finishing with right now. And we're anticipating another round of these grants coming down. I mean, the county right now is anticipating about $12.7 million if this passes the way they say that it's going to pass. There are a lot of uses for this money. I mean, there are going to be federal guidelines and restrictions on it. We don't know what we can use it for yet, but some of the things that I think we can't, we don't want to be narrow-minded when we think of this. We have to think broadly and saying, what is this money going to, what's the best use of this? Who's it going to help? How's it going to help them? You know, what are our needs? And obviously we have those needs. But when we start looking at the businesses, and there's about 3,300 registered businesses in Crow Wing County. Of that 3,300, 72% of them are between 1 and 5 employees. So when you're looking at that sector, that fits into the kind of the business model that exists in this county right now. And that's that's a lot. That's everything from an individual that runs a sole proprietorship out of their house to a small manufacturer that maybe has 3 employees. But it is a large, obviously a very large, overwhelming percentage to the number of businesses that we have and the size of those businesses. So I think you're on with that. It fits in with what the rest of the county is doing. And it's so, I think there's a way that we can potentially attract those. It's just, once we kind of figure out to narrow that scope and identify really what it is that you're looking for, and we go out and see what's out there. Sure. So,
did you guys, Councilmember Bakken, any comments? Councilmember Ball?
Yeah, I didn't have anything specific, but it's, again, great, and thanks for coming.
absolutely.
I had nothing further to add. It was great. Thank you so very much for coming and presenting.
I got a couple words.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you again, Gary.
You're doing a good job,
Thank you.
Director.
Thank
Yes. Watch your career
Well,
for
appreciate
some
that.
time, and proud that the city supports your endeavors, and the results are
Well, thank
proof
you.
of it.
Yeah.
Couple of things. Industry comes to mind, and light manufacturing, and I will be sending an email to the administrator tomorrow, if I can get to it, and copy the mayor. There's a gentleman who is running a very successful, he builds airplanes, and he's got a plant like I've never seen before in just north of Brainerd. Huge. He ships airplanes all over the world. He also owns a hangar up here, and Cliff, the manager for the airport, has talked about trying to get incentives for him to bring a small portion, because what he's run there is astronomical. He does stuff all over the world. And 4 or 5 employees, so it's quite an amazing operation. So I'll send that to the administrator and the mayor, and maybe Cliff will come over and talk about it. Good to hear that you're well schooled in TIF, which is a great program, and Councilman Miller, and the last 2 comprehensive plans I've been involved in, everybody wants the words, we got to be careful what you call it, but that people can afford. And this city has the potential to do that for these people and still have a quality operation. So I would encourage all my colleagues to pursue this. And I know the mayor and Councilman Miller, this is a hot topic, and it is with me too, and also the past mayor, Mr. Lillahei. So welcome, good to see you as always.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all I have.
And I'll just close with this, saying that, you have some big advantages here. Obviously, this area is, this is a beautiful area. You've got a fantastic anchor employer in this area, in this city, and then you've got a fantastic school system. So those are things that when Mike will tell you that, as he's running his program and attracting individuals, they really look, they do their research. I did it when I moved here. We've all done it. You're looking at the schools, you're looking at the, obviously the amenities that are here, but the school district has done a great job, and with the work that they continue to do. And so those are huge drawing cards. And, as we look at, as you talked about those the lots out there, and, I've had some meetings with, some pretty big builders in the metro area, and they're developers, and they talk about how creative they can be with financing and how creative they can be with these programs. And if they're out there, we'll find them, or we'll work with people that'll help us find them and help, obviously, myself and Patrick and everyone else get to that point where, if it's going to be built out, it can be built out affordably, and at least so people can justify living here and, paying what they're going to be able to pay, but having the jobs obviously is going to be key for that too. So, but thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If there's questions from all of you, or any of you, or through Patrick, feel free to get a hold of me at any time.
We can do that. Thank you,
Okay.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Very much appreciate
Yeah.
you coming tonight. Great presentation. I know Patrick will be getting back in touch with you because it's something we'll want to continue to pursue. So, excellent. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Item 4 on the agenda is a consent agenda. Few items. A was the council meeting minutes from February 1st, 2021. All the council members should have received that in their packet and reviewed it. Were there any questions or comments or corrections or anything? Nope, moving on. Okay.
Consent, so it's all in one.
Yep, got it. Okay, so approval of the claims totaling $146,441.85. That includes electronic checks 2717 to 2719 and written checks 136598 to 136623 and 136625 to 136649. Item C, adopt and revise post sexual assault policy, and item D, adopt revised post use of force policy. These are both required by statute, change of statute at state level. So we're required to change ours here at the city level. So at this point, gone through those, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as read?
So move.
I have a motion from Councilmember Bakken. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Councilmember Maroney. Any discussion, Councilmember Maroney?
None.
Councilmember Miller?
No, sir.
Councilmember Ball? Councilmember Bakken, any discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. All right, next item on the agenda is item 5, open forum. Is there anybody here that wishes to address the council at this time in open forum? All right, hearing none, we will move on then to item 6 on the agenda, which is the mayor and city council reports and committee reports. Starting off with myself, I do not have any reports at this time to give on any of my committees. Fire did not meet and the finance has not met either. Other than that, I'll move on to item B, council members, and I'll just start off with Councilmember Maroney. Any updates you'd like to give on committees?
Yes, some committee notes here. Road committee met on Friday, February 12th. Subject of this meeting was to discuss a complaint brought to the city regarding Shoreview Lane. Quick update regarding Bushman Road, Ranchette project add-on, which we all know is going to be part of that, and then some lift station work to be performed. The bulk of the meeting revolved around the Shoreview Lane. Good discussion was had in regards to fact-finding, history, previous work attempt to mitigate the issues presented. The road committee has sought our city engineer for further findings to help us with discussions, and an additional road meeting will be had to address those concerns being brought up on Shoreview. Another item, I was also assigned as the Heartland Cable Commission Liaison, I think that's the official title. Within that, we had our first meeting to discuss the scholarship funds. They do put out 5 scholarships in total, 4 of them for $1,500, 1 of them for $2,000. So those were sent out to local area schools with the requirements of how to apply for it. With the Heartland Cable Commission, I was volunteered and nominated for vice chair, as well as part of the selection committee for the scholarships. So excited to go with that. Those are the only two committee updates, but if we can come back after committee updates, I do have some other items I'd like to discuss.
Absolutely, we can do that. Thank you, Councilmember Maroney. Councilmember Miller, Planning and Zoning?
Planning and Zoning met as scheduled on, February 9th. Sorry, I had to get the date there. There were two discussions that P&Z had. The first revolved around 8677 Golden Butternut Lane, which was private use for a nail salon. That conditional use or interim use was approved. And then a previously continued item revolving around shorefront off of Fawn Lake Road property was picked back up, and there were some restrictions put into place, but ultimately conditional use of the variance request was approved to allow the applicant to put in a tiered wall system to control erosion and runoff into the lake.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Ball, anything from Personnel Committee?
Nothing from personnel at this time. We will likely be meeting next month.
Okay.
And then, as you said, nothing for finance.
Yep. Excellent. Thank you. Councilmember Bakken.
Couple of things, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation.
Right.
And Patrick, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. We have two new members, Diane Williams and Gron Holes, and Diane's been around forever. Secondly, a chair and a vice chair, Naomi and Linda Gron-Holes, vice chair. And the meat of the meeting was the approval for the new playground equipment, not to exceed $140,000, and our Public Works Director figured it would be somewhat less, hopefully. And also the last thing, the disc golf, which was Councilman Maroney's baby, was pushed off to the next year, but I'm sure he understands that that stuff out there needed to be replaced a long time ago. So priorities, that's all.
All right. Thank you. So back to Councilmember Maroney. You had a couple more things you wanted to share with the council.
If I could, that'd be greatly appreciated. Mr. Bakken did do a good segue into one of my comments I wanted to put out there regarding the disc golf course. I just want to let the council know that a very active player, community, Shane is his name, reached out to me a while back asking about my thoughts about the city helping him to grow the sport and doing educational seminars on the grounds there. And I said, you know, I think the city might help out, but I think the best would be with Andrea Nelson, the community ed coordinator. And so I put him in touch with her, and he's going to be now doing 3 different sessions of come learn how to play disc golf at our course here in Breezy Point. So I thought that was a great, astute thing that he's going to do with our course that we have. That's going to be done at noon on May 16th, June 13th, and August 8th. It can be found on our the Facebook page called Breezy Point Disc Golf, just a community page there. I would like to ask to see if, and this can be for further thought, but if City Hall could, you know, maybe put something on their digital billboard, have a handout ready to go for anybody who's interested in learning more about the sport and about the course there. Also in regards to the disc golf course, a tournament was announced for May 2nd with roughly 90 spots available. The tournament was sold out within 1 hour and 40 minutes. So phenomenal. That just speaks that a lot of people like the course and will come to the course here. And I know later on we're going to be discussing what the Park and Rec Committee decided. I'm in favor with the playground does need to be replaced here at City Hall. I just asked that, you know, the expansion efforts, you know, hopefully that doesn't get the whole breaks. It's just put on for next year. So that's what I'm hoping is. 2 more things. In our goal session settings, we talked about items regarding enforcement. The chief did help out putting a nice flyer that everybody should have in front of us Regarding the 2020 statistics, as you can see, the Breezy Point Police Department is committed to education and community policing. I think that's pretty apparent. We do a number of warnings and citations. We're out there being the community friend, but we're going to enforce when need be. Also, discussions have been occurring regarding the golf cart training, rodeo day. We have a number of things that are being discussed about. Hopefully bring more ideas to that next month in April, considering a potential of a June seminar with that.
Wonderful.
And last thing, I know committees are never a good thing, but I think there's an idea for committee to be brought up regarding technology. Just going to throw out a suggestion of a potential technology committee. With today's work revolving around technology, we need to make sure that we're on the forefront, staying on top of our IT company, making sure that we have a capital improvement plan, replacing equipment, making sure that's going to be phased out, not be in a reactive state, but be in a proactive state. And just staying up with today's technology, making sure that they're keeping up with us. Potential trainings, security awareness, phishing scams. We've all seen those in the emails. One click could be disastrous for us. And so I think it would be wise of us to consider a technology committee. And I just wanted to throw that out there. So, and then I'm done.
No, all very good things. Yeah, absolutely. Councilmember Miller.
I just want to inject about the technology committee. I am strongly in favor of that, not just on city level, but or not just city hall level, but a city level. And I would gladly support him and join that committee if it's available for me to be a part of.
Well, I can definitely talk with Patrick about it. We can have conversations about how to go about it. So I think it's a great idea. I don't know about the rest of the council, but I mean, technology is never going away. We're always going to have it. It's a fabric of who we are and what we do. And yeah, I mean, even if you look just right here in City Hall, we know that there's a constant mandate to keep our technology at the forefront and update it so that we can provide the service to the citizens, but also make sure we're meeting all the rules and regulations the state sets for us and different things. And just the whole idea of technology overall, keeping ahead of it. I like the idea of a capital improvement plan. I'm a big believer in the idea that you want to plan for the future, and if we can find ways to build money towards that, so that when we go to replace equipment, it's not okay. We gotta come up with it somewhere. It's there, ready to go. I think that's a very, very good idea. So I think great. I love the idea, and I'm very supportive of that. So I'll get with Patrick and we'll work towards seeing what we can do to, because I'm seeing nodding heads from the rest of the council, so I believe they seem to be all in support on a consensus level to maybe have something like that. So, and I want to commend you on your work with the police department as well. I'm excited to hear that there's some work being made towards potential with the golf carts, and this is a very nicely done, put together piece. It really does highlight what our police department does to keep our city safe, and I'm very supportive of that as well. So, thank you.
And keep in mind, this was at a low due to COVID.
Yeah.
These are low statistics from normal years.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And we know that, but I think at the same time, it still speaks volumes to what they're doing for us. So, I think that's
I
great.
have asked that next year we have medical statistics on here with our great force here that we have.
Absolutely, especially with our force being committed to that piece of it as well. So, all right. Okay, excellent. All great stuff. Good input. I think that wrapped up the committees. So moving on to item 7 on the agenda is the administrator and staff reports. And item A on the agenda is review, adopt Parks and Recreations Committee recommendation to replace existing playground equipment located at the City Hall Park. You kind of heard Councilmember Bakken already speak to that, and that was all listed out in our packet as well. So I guess really at this point it's the council needs to take some action here to move this piece forward so that we can get that playground equipment replaced. So I guess at this point I'm looking for a motion.
Be having a vested interest in that, Mr. Mayor. I so make that motion.
Okay. So the motion is to go ahead with taking the Park and Recs Committee recommendation.
Yes, sir.
move forward with replacing the playground equipment not to exceed that, I think it was
$140,000.
$140,000 mark, okay? Do I have a second on that motion?
I second.
Okay, second from Councilmember Ball. Discussion, Councilmember Maroney, any discussion?
No further discussion.
Councilmember Miller?
None, sir.
Councilmember Ball?
None.
Councilmember Bakken?
Brief comment, the committee's worked very, very hard on that with the guidance of Patrick, the administrator. I remember walking through the woods and looking at the busted down stuff, so it's sorely needed.
Yeah, I would agree, and I commend the Parks and Rec Committee for working on that. I know they had some hard decisions to make about different things that they have on their list, and I think it was a good choice, and we'll get that replaced, and then we can always continue to look at the other things that I know that they've got on their slated list, and the disc golf course expansion being one of those. So, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, item B on the agenda of item 7 is a short-term rental license agreement or updating of the ordinance. And I don't know, Patrick, if you have anything as the administrator to state before we move off into discussion or anything? Okay. So basically, council, you've had an opportunity in the packet to review. I want to commend the task force. We had Councilmember Miller, Councilmember Ball, former Mayor Lillehei, also Marcy Weaver, who's our city planning commissioner, and then of course city administrator and city planner were involved in this process as well. A number of meetings were had as they went through and reviewed not only the existing ordinance, but also, as we know, Crow Wing County has an ordinance now that they've put in place, and so there was a lot of work done there to look at that. And out of that, they developed a draft short-term rental ordinance, and that was what the council had a chance to review. And really, quite honestly, it gets down to where, as you saw, we have a couple options to look at. The council really at this point can proceed in a couple different ways, and one is to leave existing ordinances in place and operate as we have for the past several years, hold public meetings for the proposed short-term rental ordinance, and modify the ordinance after receiving public comment. And it can be a variety of that. It can be one or the other, but really, ultimately, what the city and the council decides to do really falls into those two categories. So I know former Mayor Lillehei is here tonight, and more than, said he's willing, if there's any questions specific to the ordinance. I will state we won't take any specific public comment on it at this time, because if we're going to have public hearings, that's the opportunity for the public to be able to come and speak and address us at that time. And, there would be 3 of them held throughout the summer. I believe if we went forward with that, we would have we'd have one in May, one in July, and one in September. The idea being behind that, if we went forward with that idea, was to give people that are here at a variety of different times. We know that we have people that aren't here all year round, so they may want to be able to speak to it, and that would give them that opportunity at different times throughout the summer and early fall to do that. But ultimately, the council, it's up to them to decide if that's the way we want to move forward or if there's something else that the council would choose. So I guess at this point, what I'd like to do is just kind of go around to the council and ask each one of you if you may have any specific comments on the discussion. So I'm going to start over here with Councilmember Bakken, and if you have any comments or thoughts.
You always go to the left.
I switched.
Yeah.
I keep you on your toes.
It's a change up pitch. Just briefly, it needs to be looked at very, very hard, and I read it 2 or 3 times, and I think it's very wise for the city to move forward to public hearings, to 3. I think that was a good decision, so you catch everybody, and nobody can come up to say, well, I didn't have a chance, because I've heard that before. So I'm all in favor of the public hearings. It's needed, and that's all I have to say.
Okay. Great. Councilmember Ball?
Yeah, I agree with Councilmember Bakken. I'm in favor of going forward with the public comments and then making any modifications after that.
Excellent, thank you. Councilmember Miller?
As part of the task force, I received an email from former Mayor Lillihei regarding well systems. I'd like to make sure that the well water systems make it onto that short-term rental ordinance. Other than that, I have nothing further to add to it, other than moving forward to public hearings.
Okay. Councilmember Maroney?
Read through it. I do have a statement or question regarding it, but that's later, I think. My only question that I'd have is if we wait for a public comment later, which I think is a great idea, having the three, what happens today?
We
Is it
continue
current
to follow
ordinance?
the ordinance that we have in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that ordinance is in place right now. It'll continue to stay in place along with, Crow Wing County has their ordinance, so they'll have that to also make sure they follow. But yeah, until we have the public hearing meetings, until there's a final decision made as to if there's an actual ordinance change, we could get through the public hearings and come back and say, well, based on what we've heard and based on where we're at, we're going to stay with what we have. Or we may say, well, the council may say, hey, we like what we have written, but maybe we need to add something or something needs to be changed, and then the ordinance is changed. So the answer is the ordinance we have in place stays in place until the change is made, if it is made.
Perfect. I like the idea of having the three public comments as well.
Okay, excellent. All right. So, I guess basically where we're at now is we probably do have to have a motion to move that forward. So is there a motion to move forward with public comment? Okay, I have Councilmember Bakken making a motion to go ahead to have 3 public hearings held this summer, one in the month of May, one in the month of July, and one in the month of September for the public to come in and have comments to this current this proposed ordinance.
And then you would take written comments at any time, and those would be shared publicly with the city council.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so written comments could be taken at any time outside of that. So people do have the ability to do that as well. So yes, thank you for that clarification, Patrick. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Can I have a second from Councilmember Miller? Any further discussion? Councilmember Maroney?
No.
Councilmember Miller?
Nothing further at this time.
Councilmember Ball?
No.
Councilmember Bakken? No, sir. Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion carries.
Patrick, you got a dead battery.
Okay?
Sorry.
No?
All right, moving forward, next item, item C, under Administrator and Staff Reports, is request to purchase city-owned lot adjacent to Weaver's Point Road. I'll wait
Daytona
until,
500, we're changing out tires.
there we go. So I'm going to ask Patrick to speak to this a little bit, because I know that he spoke directly with the Realtor, and I believe he has some information he'd like to share with the council. So Patrick.
Thank you. First thing I'll do is try to get to Carrie up. I saw she was on there earlier, but
I see her there.
she was in video mode before, and she's unmuted herself.
There
There's
she is.
Carrie.
Yes, hi.
So let me just start by, we have received requests to sell a specific lot, or actually to list a specific lot. Now, ultimately, the city council has a long history of selling lots that we've owned and acquired through the past. We've always gone out on a bid process. And so this is a little bit different. She's asking for a listing request. So there's kind of two things to discuss here. One is, do you want to go with the listing options? But backing up a little bit of history, and I shared with the mayor a little bit about the tax forfeited lot policy that the city of Breezy Point's had in place for quite some time. Additionally, in the early 2000s and ever since, the city has followed that policy and acquired tax forfeited lots and accepted donation for lots that are in an area that is essentially, I don't think I have a map for it, apologize, I provided a map of what she was asking us for, but from Weavers Point Road to the City Hall complex. And the policy is to acquire the lots there that are tax forfeited so that we can build ultimately a complex. In addition, when you look at a road, some of the concerns are, is it wide enough today? That might be. However, as expansion in the city grows, we may not have enough right away, and we have to turn around and take or buy right away from these people in the future. So we want to be cautious about when we go about selling land. So the mayor and I have talked a little bit, and not everybody is familiar with the tax forfeited policy. I mean, I think Mr. Bakken was on some of the councils that had made motions to buy some of the land over there, so you're maybe more familiar with it. So I needed to reaffirm that policy with this city council. Part of it is, then the mayor said, well, Pat, can you get me a map? And I said, not in the time that we have here. And it's going to take a bit of time to put together all the parcels we own. So I would add, if the council wants to review the policy, please allow staff a couple of months to put some detail together, which may then turn around and ultimately delay the response to the request that we have tonight.
Well, thank you, Patrick. I think ultimately what I see is that there is this policy that the council has in place currently right now. And, you know, while I appreciate Carrie coming forward and asking, I think we owe it to the city to make sure that we do the research that's needed to figure out what, you know, the policy, do we want to continue with it? Where are all the parcels at that the city owns in that area? I've looked over some of the resolutions that were passed to purchase some of these parcels, and, you know, it's over a variety of time. And the idea behind the policy was originally, as Patrick stated, this idea that these parcels would be purchased by the city with this idea of having the land to be able to have the complex or develop out beyond where we're currently sitting in this footprint. And that's kind of where that comes from. And I will say it kind of is in this quadrant to the north of us, that runs to the north of where the police station is, up through there, up to Weavers Point Road, kind of in that block, based on what I could see that Patrick provided to me. So I guess, you know, I think we probably, my thoughts would be, unless the council views it differently, that maybe we need to think about allowing staff some time to be able to research this a little more, give us more information and details before we kind of move forward with the idea. And then also, how is it that we want to, if we would decide that we wanted to move that lot or sell it, you know, there's a couple different ways to go about that. And I think the council needs to think about what is it that we want to direct staff to do, or what's the approach we want to take for the best interest of the city. So I don't know what the council has. I'm open to any comments from any of the council members at this point. Go ahead, Councilmember Bakken.
I agree with your thought.
Okay.
Take some time, look at it, and
I agree.
come back with a decision.
Okay. Any other comments?
Would it be okay for me to add a comment? This is Carrie.
Yes. Go ahead, Carrie. Can you
Okay.
state who
All
you
right.
are? Can you state who you
Yes.
are, please, and your address? Thank you.
I can do that. And first of all, I just want to make sure, can you hear me and can you see me? I think I have both my video and audio on, but I want to confirm that.
Yes, we can see you and hear you just fine, Carrie.
Okay, good, because I can't see myself on my display, so I just want to make sure you can see me. The reason why this has come up is currently I have 3 listings that are on Beaver Drive and adjacent to one of the lots that Breezy owns. The inquiries that I get on these lots always are, first and foremost, are they buildable? And because right now the lots are on a low maintenance road, the answer to that would be no. But one of the very small Breezy Point owned lots is adjacent to the 2 lots that I have listed, and also across the road from that lot. So it's like a 0.17 acre lot. It's very small, but it is a lot that's on Weaver Point Road, which would then make the lots that I have listed potentially available and for building and for permitting. So this is the reason why this has come up. I'm hoping for consideration to consider, at least for now, the 1 lot that's on Weaver Point Road. It is a very small lot, but it is the lot that would give access to a maintained road to the other 2 lots that are listed. And so I was hoping for some consideration in that regard.
Right, and thank you for your comments, Carrie, very much appreciated. And I think duly noted with the idea of what you're stating about you get a lot of questions about those lots and because Beaver Drive is a minimum maintenance road and doesn't meet the requirements for somebody to be able to build on those other lots, I can see where that one lot adjacent to Weaver Point Road could be something that could open the door up for those lots to be used for building. And I think we recognize that. I think ultimately at the same time with the policy that's currently in place, I think the city has to do its due diligence to make sure that we're recognizing that as well. And so then if
Sure.
there's going to be a change, the council then has to take action for that change to happen. And so a part of that is having staff have the ability to be able to do the research. Because they're going to have to go back and they're going to have to look at the lots, they're going to have to identify some things and then be able to bring it back to the council for us to be able to look at and then ultimately try to take action on. So I understand that potentially you would like to probably move on this right now, but ultimately we're going to have to most likely continue to look at it and see what the opportunity is. I guess that's the best, and I'm trying to speak, I think, for the council as a whole based on what I've heard from them. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
And that's very understandable. If, as I get interest and as things go forward, given the circumstances that we currently have related to the market and the need for lots and the need for building and the need for residences, if I do get an inquiry that asks about that adjacent lot, I can bring it to you at that time. And perhaps too, that would be considered as something to bring to the city council for consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would encourage you to do as you did this time, go to the city administrator, Patrick, and be able to give it to him. And that way it'll come to us as the council. And you did a great job with that this time, and I appreciate you doing that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Did she leave?
No, she's still there.
Okay, great. Real quick, if I can, Mr. Mayor. She's using old property identification numbers where the county actually updated. So based on this map, is she referencing 1016, 1349, and 1348 as the two adjacent parcels?
Yes, sir.
I believe so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just wanted a point of clarification on that so I knew exactly which lots, because as far as I know, it was 41 and 42, and she was going in a zigzag format, so.
I believe it's the two interior ones adjacent to that lot against the River Point Road.
Sounds good.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
okay, great. All right. All right, so I think then moving forward, what we'll do at this time is allow staff to start doing some research on it. And as you heard Patrick say, it's going to take some time for them to put it together. I would ask then as staff gets that developed and the research is available and get it put together to bring it back to the council, we could take a look at the policy then at that time. So, all right, sounds
Okay,
good.
great. Thank
right.
you so much. I should go ahead and sign off now.
You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you can sign off if you'd like to as well. That's totally up to you, Carrie.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. All right, moving on to item D under number 7, Administrator and Staff Reports. This is to accept high bid for Caterpillar Road Grader. As everybody on the council recalls, we recently approved purchase of the new road grader to replace the older one. At that time, the grader was put out on bid, and we received several bids. The high bid did come in at, I believe, $55,000 is what was stated. $55,001 as it's listed. So basically what we're looking for, the Public Works Director would like the council to go ahead and take action with this. And the winning bidder has been contacted, and they did agree to pay us by cashier's check when it's taken into possession in early April. So realize we're hanging on to the grader until we get our new one. And so the highest bidder has been made aware of that. They know that. But at the time we receive our new grader, they would then come pay for it and take possession of the old grader. So again, Joe is looking for a motion to approve this.
I'll make the motion to accept the high bid of $55,001.
Second.
Okay, so I have Councilmember Maroney making the motion, Councilmember Bach seconding it. to accept this. Is there any further discussion from any of the council?
I just want to commend Public Works for getting a high bid for $55,000. I think that's fantastic.
Yes. Excellent. As you recall, if we would have traded in, I think the trade-in value was right around 33 or 30, 35,000. So this is a good thing. So, okay. Without any further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. All right, moving on. Item E under 7, public safety boiler. Basically, we received a report from Brian Sandell, who's the police sergeant for our police department, and the subject is to replace the boiler. So there's a boiler which has provided in-floor heat over at the police department. Also the evidence garage and the fire. It's the original one that was put in when the building was built back in 2005, and it has failed. What's been going on is they've been using a backup quick recovery heaters. Those have also were installed for the purpose of, in case the in-floor heat went out, to provide backup. However, those are far from efficient compared to in-floor heat and the boiler system that was originally installed for that. So our Public Works Director, Joe Zierden, has obtained quotes from Gilman Heating and Air for replacement, and that was attached. And basically, they're recommending that we approve the bid from Gilman Heat and Air to replace that boiler that provides the in-floor heating in the police department and garage for a price of $6,720. So that was put in front of us. So at this point, looking for a motion to approve this so we can move forward with getting that replaced.
So moved.
Okay, I have Councilmember Miller with the motion.
I give.
Do I have a second?
2.
I have a second from Councilmember Bakken to move forward with accepting the quote from Gilman Heating and Air for $6,720. And it was stated in there that it is the least expensive, and Gilman is a local contractor with a good reputation. So any discussion? Councilmember Maroney?
None.
Councilmember Miller?
Move forward. That's what I say.
Councilmember Ball?
No, sir.
Councilmember Bakken? No, sir. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. And that brings us to item 8, which is adjournment. So unless there's anything more, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Councilmember Miller, second from Councilmember Ball. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.